So welcome, Jody Robinson, one of our phenomenal women of 2021. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's an honor.
Well, it's an honor to get to speak to you and share our conversation with the rest of our community. I'd love for you to introduce yourself, tell us what firm you're with, what you're doing these days, and let people know what's going on in your universe.
Thank you. I'm a wealth manager and a partner at Kingsview Partners Wealth Management. I use Charles Schwab as my primary custodian, and I pride myself on being a fiduciary and doing what's in the best interest of the clients, going deeper with my clients to just get more of an understanding of where they stand financially and what they want their goals to be.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, I have to say, when you were nominated for Phenomenal Women of 2021, I took a look at your LinkedIn page, and one of the things that stood out most to me was that you were the first female advisor at your firm. Could you tell us more about how that was as an experience and how the firm has changed since then?
Yeah, well, I had no idea when I came on board that I was the only woman. But I mean, from the firms that I had been at before, it wasn't really something unexpected. There just really is a lack of women in our industry. There's an article, it was in October of 2020. Andrew Osterland, who's pretty well known, published an article for CNBC that said that we as women are definitely in the minority. They estimate like maybe 14%, but I actually think it's lower than that. And as far as people of color, other minorities, there's only 3.6% in the industry right now. So it wasn't really a surprise to me, but I did encourage my firm to hire more women, to focus on diversity, both, gender, color, everything. And they really have. They've really been working on getting more women in the firm. So that's been a wonderful thing.
With your input on how to diversify your team, has anything else changed to be able to accommodate for those changes? So from a service standpoint, or just from an internal operational standpoint, has anything else changed along with you guys opening it up to having more diversity and inclusion?
Well, I don't know if it necessarily goes to diversity, but our firm has always been very open about looking at ways that we can make life easier for our financial planners. When COVID happened, we were able to streamline and move to video conferencing pretty easily. Our whole staff moved to video conferencing and working remotely. So that's one thing I think that really plays into allowing women to be more present in the workforce. For me personally, I have evolved over the years as a person, and I, didn't when I went through a divorce about 6 years ago, and I knew that the way that I was doing business wasn't working for me because I was working about 60 hours a week. I had a nanny. I was never seeing my family, and it really made me think about, like, if I'm going to continue to do this, how am I going to make this work for me? And Kingsview really helped me in that area as far as, allowing me to work both from home and from the office. So I have a lot of flexibility.
That's awesome to hear. You mentioned COVID, and I know you're aware of this, but we've seen a lot of mostly women having to leave the workforce to go home and take care of kids who are home from school and help with virtual learning. And a lot of them, that's a full-time job in and of itself. So a lot of women have completely exited the market. And what I have experienced personally, and you tell me otherwise, is that a lot of firms aren't really creating a pathway back for these women to come back into their former positions. What's been your experience in terms of what you're seeing in the industry, And how has that been different for you at your firm?
Well, I definitely see a divergence. There are some firms that are very much pushing, the bottom line. Like you have to get new clients, you have to constantly bring in new assets, you have to make, in the insurance industry, you have to make a certain amount of commissions to keep your job. And the thing that I really love about my firm is, like when I went independent, I just didn't have the time to go out and pound the pavement and schmooze and do all those networking things and seminars. I just didn't have the time for that. I didn't have time to convert prospects into clients. That's not what I wanted to focus on. So I really had to revolutionize the way that I did my business. And to do that, I focused a lot on my branding. I focused a lot on focusing on who am I and how does that make me different from any other financial planner out there. And there's not a lot of firms that allow financial advisors to do that. I mean, because a lot of them want to use the corporate brand and the corporate name, and you're supposed to be just this, nameless, faceless person in a suit and tie. Um, Going back to an interesting story, there was a firm that I was at, and they wanted us to make sure that we were wearing business appropriate attire. So that meant that we had to wear a suit, a skirt, pantyhose, and we had to wear closed-toed shoes. And they encouraged us to wear, modest nail polish. So I've really bucked the trend. I mean, and I have long hair, which a lot of financial advisors don't, or they wear it in a bun all the time. I wear blue nail polish. I seldom wear makeup. And, these are all the things they told me not to do when you're first a financial advisor. And I haven't found it to, deter any clients. In fact, people like me because I'm real. And I think that's the one message, if I can give any women financial advisors, is to be who you are. Don't try to fit into this, take home the bacon and, Angelique commercial. It's like, be who you are, and tell clients who you are and how you do your business, because they're going to welcome that. It's not something that they've seen before.
No, I completely get what you're saying. I feel like you've taken me back to my law school days when we had my law school had a like fashion show, and it was like what to wear as a lawyer, what not to wear. And for women it was exactly that, skirt had to come below the knees, pantyhose, minimal makeup. And it's ridiculous because you're a person, you're human being. You're a human being that does financial advisory service. So show up being yourself and let people connect with you human to human, person to person. And you're right. I think that authenticity, people can feel fake. And if they feel you're fake, they don't trust you.
Yeah.
And a lot of financial advisors, they're going out there and people are turning over their life savings to a financial advisor. So it's like, how can you keep that person happy? And how do you give them peace of mind if you're not true to yourself? How can you be true to them?
I do think that it's really important, um, for both the clients and for the financial planners to really focus on the relationship, because it's so easy to look at it as a sales job, but it's not. You're going to be with these people for a long time. I started in this industry in 2003, working as a sales assistant, working with the financial advisors, and I did that for 7 years. And I saw so much on that side of the desk. And then when I became a financial advisor myself, I realized that, gosh, these people are going to be with me 10, 15, 20 years. So if you're looking at it with, the short-term picture and not the long-term picture, it's not going to work for you as an advisor. And for clients, if you're skipping from advisor to advisor to advisor over the years because you think somebody has the magic sauce, you're misleading yourself. You're not giving yourself the best possible service that you can, because that relationship and getting to know those clients over the years is really where the magic happens. It's helping people figure out, how do we make this vacation home happen? How do we work out the income distribution strategy? If we want to save for a specific goal, how do we get there? If I don't know you, how am I possibly going to give you advice about those things? So,
No, I totally hear you. And that's very true, because I think you do see a lot of retail investors, the everyday person, they jump from person to person, from advisor to advisor. And then we take a look back statistically at how successful advisors are over a longer period of time. And it's really, you do yourself a disservice by jumping so frequently from advisor to advisor. But a lot of that, I think, comes down to a lack of trust. And there's that lack of trust because the advisor's not showing up and being themselves.
this world has changed so much since 2003 when I started. I mean, back then you could still, go door to door, put on seminars and, woo people into becoming clients. But now people check you out on the internet. They want to know who you are. They usually get a referral from somebody else. And, I like to say people don't like to be plate lickers anymore. Back in the day, we used to joke about the plate lickers, the people who go from seminar to seminar and change from advisor to advisor. And I just don't think that that is the way that business is done anymore. And even in 2010, when I first started as a financial advisor, you could still like go out and pass out your business card, but it was already getting hard. And I think I'm probably one of the last generations that was able to build my business from scratch that way, because, people don't trust as much anymore. They want to know that there's somebody who has experience, that has years in the business, that really understands what they're doing. So the idea of like throwing $10,000 at somebody and seeing what they can do, that just doesn't make sense in today's world. If people want to do something like that, they can go online and use a robo advisor. That's not what we do. That's not what a good financial planner does. A good financial planner wants to help creative thinking. And I love creative thinking. I think that's kind of how I really developed my love of the industry. Is it's not just numbers and spreadsheets. I'm good at that. That's kind of, how I ended up getting into this business. But I really think that being able to problem solve is one of those things that a good financial planner can do. And just an aside, I love puzzles. So I love to, try to solve problems. It's for me, it's something that gets me really jazzed up. It doesn't get me frustrated.
That's awesome. I love hearing that. You mentioned technology and how the way you do business is so different from when you started. So, what do you say to the next generation of financial advisors who's got all of this robust and incredible technology, where we're really, especially, I think with the pandemic, it accelerated our industry kind of leaning into virtual meetings and using video calls like we are right now. So, what do you say to this next generation about this whole concept of trust and building trust when they have very little opportunities for that interpersonal connection? They're not the salesmen showing up, knocking at the door and introducing themselves as your friendly financial advisor. So what have you done to pivot? What advice would you have to the next generation?
That is such a good question. It's 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 so hard right now for new financial advisors. And if there's two pieces of advice I can give, one is always innovate. Always look at more creative, better ways that you can do your business. So whether that's engaging people on social media, whether that is different ways of sharing information like through a webinar or something like that, work with your compliance. You know, sometimes it's hard, even getting to this interview was not easy for me, but I have a great compliance team who helps me and says, okay, instead of just no, how can we work towards this goal? How can we make this happen? The second thing I want to share is that as a new financial advisor, whether you're a woman, a man, a minority, to find a sponsor or an advocate to help you into this business because starting from scratch isn't really a reality anymore. So if you can find somebody that is willing to bring you on as a paraplanner and with the eventual idea that you're going to become an advisor with assets under management, that's one of the best ways to get into the business these days. Not to say that it isn't impossible to do it from a scratch start, but finding a really good support program as you're starting and get those years of experience before you start your own practice. And that was something, I did unintentionally because I worked 7 years on the other side of the desk before I've had my last, 10, 11 years, in front of clients as the financial advisor. So you just got to really think about, okay, what steps am I going to take? And if you can find a firm that's going to help you through those steps, and then once you've grown to a certain point, don't be afraid to change firms that are going to allow you to continue to grow. I think a lot of people get into a rut and they're like, gosh, if I can't ever leave this firm, it's not something I could ever do. And honestly, I can't imagine leaving where I am right now. But if you find that it's not working for you anymore, you have to figure out how you can make it better. And to do that, you really have to know yourself. This job is the type of job that really will bring you to your core, because if you don't know who you are, there's no possible way that you can help other people.
Yeah, no true words have been spoken, for sure. And now, with people being virtual and using that technology, you have to lean in more than ever into who you are, so that can communicate and translate through the screen, through the webcam. So no, that's really great advice. So I want to shift a little bit. I know that you've written a book, and I'd love to hear more about how you came up with the idea, what the subject matter of the book is, and where we might find a copy.
My son was the inspiration for my book. He's getting to be a teenager, so he doesn't want to hear, all of this detailed stuff about what mom has to say. I mean, he's a great kid, don't get me wrong. We have some amazing discussions, but there were some messages that I really wanted him to have. I really wanted him to know about if something ever happened to me. And this was before COVID. So, but I had some tragedies in my family over the past few years, and I put the word out to a women's networking group I was involved in. And I said, I don't think I could do this by myself, but I really would love to write a book and maybe have a ghost author or a co-author. And there was this amazing woman named Karen Putz, who is deaf, and she is a backwards barefoot water skier. So think about that. You're deaf and you can't hear the signals from the people in the boat, and you're turned around and water skiing backwards. And she started water skiing again in her 40s. So she's one of those just amazing people. She writes about passion, and she contacted me and said, I really think that we could work together. This, your passion for working with people in financial planning and my teaching about helping people get beyond what they thought they couldn't do to do the things that they want to do, we could really write this book together. So we worked on this book, and it's not a typical financial planning book. It's a book about how emotions impact our financial decisions and how we can move beyond what we thought that we could do to really make our dreams come true.
Oh my goodness, what an inspiration. So where can we get a copy of this book? I want to make sure I share it with my network too.
Thank you for asking. You can find it on Amazon. It's available in Kindle, paperback, and audiobook. And it's also available in audiobook and Kindle, or not Kindle, but electronic version through Hoopla that's available at a lot of people's libraries. So if you have a library card and they use Hoopla, you can actually get the book for free. But you can also buy it on Amazon. I do like the paperback because it's kind of got worksheets in it that you can start to reflect on things and write things down for yourself. But it's also available through most major retailers. You can buy it through them too.
That's amazing. Another way you're distinguishing yourself. So everyone take note. Jody, it's been such a pleasure speaking with you. You're such an inspiration, and it's no wonder you were nominated as one of our phenomenal women of 2021. So, congratulations. If someone wanted to get in touch with you, learn more about you, your story, maybe get some more input about the different things we talked about today, how can they get in contact with you?
To get in contact with me, the easiest way is to go to my scheduling website, which is meetwithjody, Jody, .as.me. And you can find the link to my book there. It's called Money Messages. You can also set up just a 15-minute phone call, or you can set up a clarity consultation, or if you just want to network, it's all right there. So meetwithjody.as.me.
Awesome. Thank you, Jody. We've really enjoyed hearing you today. And we're excited to see all the amazing things you continue to do into the future. It was great talking to you. Thank you.
Leila, thank you so much. It was so awesome to be here. And I just really appreciate what you're doing as a trailblazer for women as well. I know there's not a lot of people that are in lawyering for compliance. So it's definitely a need. And from one trailblazer to another, let's keep going and help all these other women get into this industry.
Amen. Amen. That's what we're going to do. Thank you so much, Jody, our phenomenal woman of 2021. Woo!